Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backcast, the podcasty thing component to the Backlog, where we talk about the games that we've been playing and just kind of generally talk about everything else as well. I'm Dan. I'm joined by Joe.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you, Joe?
Doing okay.
Yeah, doing fine this week?
A little bit under the weather this week, but doing okay.
Well, we did have kind of like a non-winter, and then all of a
And
sudden
then suddenly it all just
winter.
showed up in the last 3 days.
Yeah, it's like, was
it's been brutal.
Is it the day after tomorrow where the United States freezes over?
That one with Maggie Gyllenhaal?
Sure. I don't know names. Is that the one with like wolves in New York and stuff?
I mean, never mind. Dumb joke about Jake Gyllenhaal and his sister looking the same.
I get it now. Thanks for explaining that joke.
But yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is the one.
I saw like half of that movie, and none of it was good.
Global warming. It's here to
Surprise!
Global warming is coming.
Sudden global warming. Well, not to get sidetracked on movies. Let's talk video games.
I mean, that is what we are here to do.
Ostensibly, I mean, we are going to get off track multiple times, and that's a thing that's
Prepare yourselves.
Prepare thyself, sir. I've been playing the period pieces.
A bit of a period piece?
So,
it's like bleeding into your conscious waking life?
Yeah, let's start off with a tease.
A little bit of a tease?
Yeah, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so I recently have binged The Last of Us.
Right, kind of at my behest.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I have thoughts, and I need to get those thoughts out.
And yeah, I had played it once upon a time in the past and bounced off fairly quickly as I didn't really enjoy the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got through it, and I don't know, I ended up, once I kind of got over some of the aspects that I don't like about The Last of Us, I enjoyed it more than I expected I would.
I have things,
and we'll get into this.
I have things to say,
yeah,
but I'm intentionally biting my tongue because it's like,
think of this as a teaser for our later, more in-depth discussion of The Last of Us.
If you're familiar with and liked our Dark Souls chat, well, expect one for The Last of Us.
Yeah, a nice little Last of Us chat, as it was like super pop. When did that come out? It's been years now.
Between the PS3
right.
came out, and then I played it on the PS4 version, and so did I.
Yeah, the remaster.
Yeah, so we were even late to the game. You were especially late.
Late to the game. I mean, I remember lots of Game of the Year talk about it back when, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it quite a bit.
Right.
And I when I got it at first, the remaster, and kind of played through maybe the first couple hours.
You were confused?
It wasn't really a confusion. I did enjoy a lot of the gameplay stuff, and we can get into this in a little more detail later, but the mechanics of the game didn't feel great and kind of felt a little tired. Theme-wise, I didn't understand why everyone was glowing so intensely about it. So,
okay,
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Expect that coming up. I did spend, I don't know, I should have looked at my playtime. I'll have to look at that.
Well, we will have time to do that before.
We will
at some point. Yeah. So, So you played through that.
I cranked it out. Really, it was a binge for sure. It was just a quick let me jump through this so I can see what the fuss is about and be able to talk about it. So we can do a chat.
Yeah, I think that actually plays to its benefit more than it doesn't.
It probably does. In that I wasn't jumping in and out of it like I normally probably would on a slower playthrough.
I tried to remember what you were doing and where you was.
Yeah, I think it helped kind of sew everything together.
Right,
in a decent way. If you're, I was afraid I was going to lose a lot of it. But kind of binging through it, I was able to keep a lot. Like it's kind of, I don't know,
not a lot of layers to that story.
Really not. And the locations, there are far fewer than I expected, and kind of the gameplay loop that exists in that game is pretty small,
right?
And not very in depth.
I would say polished. But
we'll get into the details.
We will get into that.
So we don't want to waste too much time. We got plenty to talk about today.
Right, yeah. So we want to throw that out there and say, hey, we're not going to put a date on it. Don't expect it in a week or two or a month. But we're gonna
hopefully get a little bit more polish on that turd. We
also got to capture
some
footage,
Last of Us footage.
So that's a thing that has to happen as well. So that's a thing. Where are you at Monster Hunter, Joe?
I am stuck in Monster Hunter.
Kieran?
Yep, tempered Kieran.
For those of you who don't know, basically the monsters, what they have is they have low rank monsters
which are pretty easy.
You don't really have a lot of trouble. They might have a big hit or something that you got to learn.
Think of it as like a tutorial for the monster. It's real basic. Doesn't hit very hard.
Doesn't even have all the moves.
Doesn't
sometimes
have all the moves necessarily. Hits like a wet noodle. And
but if you don't know what you're doing, it's still going to
kill you. I mean, everything. Like nothing in this game is really a wet noodle.
Right.
I say that
relatively,
in hindsight, relative speaking to where my gear is at now.
Right.
But yeah, it's like tutorial mode and then normal mode.
High rank.
Yeah, it's high rank. Yeah.
Normal mode is high rank. You at a point in the story, you kind of beat. They're like, hey, you've beaten the box that we were showing in trailer. The box art. I said the monster we were showing in trailers. Good job. There's a bigger threat that's now a bunch of elder dragons. Now welcome to high rank.
This is a lot harder.
Nut up because you can't get hit by that Anjanath charge anymore.
Yeah, and you gotta pay attention to your gear. Blah blah blah.
Resistances.
Oh, but we're not through yet. They give us tempered
monsters.
Mode. Yeah, which is hardcore. It's like going from normal mode to hardcore.
And this is after the story. Tempered is after the story.
It is.
So it's like, hey, you can't get enough. Great. Here's monsters that have the same amount of health, that hit harder, and that reward more gems and like the
it's a
items.
different loot table. So you're getting these gems that are for you to actually continue your progression into the high rank gear.
It's if you want to call it the mythic rating part of Monster Hunter.
Sure. Yeah.
It feels like that. It's like
the
hardcore.
You're min-maxing, if you're familiar with the term. You're trying to squeeze as much out of all of this gear as possible just to make things slightly more manageable.
For
none of it makes anything easy by any means. It's all still like, hey, you can get one shot by anything. And that's kind of what's got me stuck.
Right, because, my foray into min-maxing is a guy who has daggers that do... Daggers are good for status effects because every time you hit, you do a percentage of build-up. Daggers hit fast. Put status effect on, they're not daggers, they're twin blades is what they call them.
Yeah, dual blades, yeah.
And so I have, I build up a thing called Blast. When I get to the appropriate amount, monster blows up.
Does a bunch of damage.
It does the same amount of damage, it's just less, more resistant monsters. It takes longer to build up, but it still does the same amount of damage. So I've built a blast build with a few things like earplugs, so when the monster roars, it doesn't stun me.
I also looked into that quite a bit, the way that status buildup all works.
Right, there are numerous tutorials.
There's a whole lot of DR that goes on there.
Yeah.
Like, you end up just getting, it drops off kind of exponentially.
The first 3 or 4 are pretty easy to get.
It's up to 3. Third time is the max that it'll resist. So it takes longer to build up each time. And then on the third, once after the third time, you're kind of at a plateau.
Right.
It doesn't get slower after that. But.
Gotcha. And for me, I was getting 7 or 8 blasts going off because at the end of the thing,
I think blast functions a little differently than the actual CCs.
Yeah.
You get blast a lot more frequently.
But I was still getting a decent enough that's an extra 700-800 damage.
Oh, yeah.
So, or it's maybe even closer to 9. So it's like, okay.
It's if you're going for your pure, just straight damage build. You're not trying to put them to
dual
sleep
blades.
or trank them or
all the good dual blades. Well, I shouldn't say that. The good dual blades that
all of the fast
that
weapons.
have the good raw damage is the blast build. So it does one dagger does blast, one sword does ice. So it covers a good amount of weaknesses.
Not bad.
Because if they're not weak to ice, they're usually weak to blast, or vice versa. So it's just kind of it's kind of a calculated gamble. Like, I'm the guy who's like, this is the set. This is my take all comers set. I don't have to worry about it. Where I know you're the kind of, what am I fighting? Let me optimize my set.
I've been max for every monster I go. If I'm gonna hunt something and farm it up, I will make a very specific build. In the case of Tempered Kieran,
right,
which is the
lightning unicorn.
Yep, the lightning unicorn
of destruction. He is so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably attempted this fight a solid 25 times at this point.
And it's not that you can do it solo, but it always seems like there's somebody weaker than you in the group.
Exactly. And I've gotten to final phase plenty of times, and it's infuriating because there's one weak link every time.
And they're so eager to get back and be weakest link.
Yeah, they love being weakest link. They aren't there. They're not prepared. They don't really know what they're getting, what they're going for.
Right.
And they end up just wiping the whole group.
Because Tempered Kieran, if you're not watching his tells, he's dropping
one shots left and
right. You have to watch the fact that the ground is getting electrified. He's going to hit there.
Yeah.
You have to notice that he's rearing up. That means he's going to blast around him.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then,
you have to read those telegraphs in a way that a lot of people just are not ready for.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that only, I don't know, the Dark Souls crowd
Or the Japanese.
who know the series already.
Which I should mention, I have beaten Tempered Kieran, but that's because I joined on accident, completely on accident. I joined a group of 3 Japanese dudes, and I was the only dude who fainted, and I fainted once out of a 3 possible feints. But I didn't care. We beat it. Everything was good. We got through it. When I'm the weakest link and I know to keep my head down.
You see, if I was the weakest link, we'd have it down in
you've
time.
been mastering the hunting horn.
Yeah, I have, and it's glorious, and it has made this easier, but also far more painful because we get so much farther every time. The hunting horn is literally a horn. Yeah. It's a big bagpipe / drum.
Yeah, imagine but it looks kind of like a kind of the old school smoking pipe kind of thing.
It does. It's very big because it's also a hammer.
Yes,
it's also a hammer / musical instrument, and you play notes and you buff your party. And with the hunting horn, it gives everybody else a way
massive
better chance of surviving these fights. And I'm very specifically gearing for this fight, and it keeps people who shouldn't have lived as long. It gives them that longer chance, and it's why we've made it to the final phase in that fight so many times. But and that's what makes it so painful, is because I can carry a bad group much farther than it deserves to go.
So you're actually making yourself waste more time.
I am making myself waste more time by making that by doing the support role and helping these guys out. If only any of them could just get it done. Oh man, I would kill for a good group.
We need to. Well, I've been distracted by other things. We need to get in. I still. Well,
I figure if we can get you in, if we can get another friend or 2 geared up enough and internet connection stable
and Mike, so when we can yell and say, "Keep your head,"
being able to talk and be like, "Okay, back off." Just you keep dying. Don't come back to the fight. We're close. Just stay away. You can hang out outside.
Get close enough to rush in for the carve.
Yeah, stay out of aggro range and just hang out and we'll finish it off.
Yes. So for me right now, there's a couple of games going on, and the whole reason this whole YouTube channel kind of exists is happening right now. There's 3 games I want to spend all my free time on, and I don't have all the free time to spend on one, let alone 3 games, and so it's juggling.
I have the same problem.
Yes,
same problem.
And you have more free time than me at the moment, so that
and this week's been busy. I had family stuff.
I mean, I'm not telling you to confess your sins.
Oh right,
This isn't me calling you out.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
For I have not gamed nearly
I have not
enough.
gamed hard enough.
I mean, that's always true. So we're still going on that. So
still going on that. I plan to keep going. I really want to get, because that's the last bottleneck.
It is
for progression.
And then it's just hunting tempered elder dragons.
And then it's farming up and min maxing to your heart's delight.
Right.
And there's more weapon upgrades as well, so you can eventually make those tempered fights considerably more manageable.
Right, because there's this whole system that unlocks for endgame progression that neither of us have got to, because you basically
have to get lucky to unlock it.
Right,
you have to get one of the gems to drop to even unlock.
But you only get them from tempered elder dragons,
right?
And I kind of, out of deference, have also stopped fighting elder dragons so you catch up.
Man,
but also,
don't worry, because I'm stuck. I can't do anything until I finish that Kieran fight.
Don't take this excuse from me.
Okay, whatever.
Solidarity, brother.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. So but here's the thing: is it's completely superfluous, but at the same time, it's just this is where this game gets awesome.
Exactly, and I am a min maxer. I love that stuff. I love being able to change it up the way you can in that game. It's hyper customizable.
Well, and I've heard, and this is all rumors on rumors, second hands and whatevers, but people have been teasing that they've heard things from people who know, but they can't drop names, that the 1-year DLC plan for this game looks amazing, to the point of if there's a monster of your favorite from previous games, don't worry, it'll likely be in this game, kind of teasing.
And there's a lot of monsters we haven't seen yet.
From the old games,
yes, yeah. There's a good chunk of stuff.
Yeah, we sat here one night and watched the 10th anniversary,
the old 10th anniversary
that showed all the sizes of the monsters.
Yeah.
How they someone actually was pointing out that there are no cat wyverns, like the big cat style, like tiger type.
Yeah.
Because there's that panther one, that tiger one, that's like a tiger raptor rex thing, and
it'll be interesting to see where they go. I mean, we know Devil Joe is coming.
We do know Devil Joe is coming.
That guy looks like a beast.
Well, he looks like, if I had to
guess. He
guess.
looks like Odogadon on steroids.
Exactly what I say is like he's like Brute Wyvern, so he's like a Barroth or even an Anjanath-sized creature, but from the way they describe him, he fights like Odogadon or...
super fast.
Like, but then has to stop and go eat something because he's just burning himself out constantly.
That's cool.
All right?
I dig it.
Yeah. Also sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And they've already set up in the plot for a reason for more Elder Dragons to show up.
Oh, and I didn't look into this a lot, but your unifying theory of Pokemon and Monster Hunter may not be too far off.
You're kidding.
So apparently in the weird stuff that is the Monster Hunter lore,
there's a ton of weird games.
It is an ancient, very prolific civilization that was very high society at one point, and they were breeding
monsters.
They were breeding their own dragons, basically, to a weird extent where it became their economy was and it inflated it to a level that
you're making me very happy.
Yeah, you should check this out.
You're describing Pokemon.
It's unreal how I was I'm like, oh, it's exactly. It's kind of both of us.
You're shaking your head, going, I can't believe it.
I can't believe this is what else could it have been, honestly? But because these designer dragons that these guys were making and selling to each other, it was not sustainable. So eventually the economy collapses around it. And then it and that's what kind of leads to the demise of civilization. They get too powerful, too OP, and just destroy everything.
They ultimated one too many times, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, wait, I'm in charge here.
Well, it became so hyper specialized and so powerful that the inflation on it all was so ridiculous that they couldn't keep it going, and no one could afford to actually have these dragon parts and stuff. It's super interesting, and I want to dig into it a little bit more.
Okay.
But maybe we'll have to do something. Maybe we'll have to talk about that a little bit more.
Maybe you have to
once we're a little bit more well versed.
I've got to think of a good pun name for what that series would look like, and then we'll maybe sit down and talk about it. Read other people's lore thoughts on it.
Yeah, it seems pretty crazy and funny.
Okay, awesome. So now you put on our notes here, and I didn't ask too much about it, but you did kind of tease me a little bit here.
A little bit. So in WoW, we're end of expansion at this point. Everything's kind of dry. We're not really progression rating anymore. So trying to mix it up a little bit.
You're all out of progression.
And trying to, maybe mix it up a little, try something new. I've noticed in both of my raid groups actually that healers we have a little bit of a shortage there.
That's pretty common.
And tanks as well, but generally if we have more people who can go heals at the drop of a hat, the more flexible we can be. Especially when we're having some attendance issues and people just don't show up.
Right.
So
end of expansion blues.
I figured, hey, you know what? I have an opportunity here to do something I've never tried before in Holy Priest.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, historically not viable and not fun.
And also kind of meh.
Yeah, kind of meh in that it's the most raw throughput healer.
It's just
nothing very
click heal.
It's very much
or
that.
Mouse over heal, mouse over
heal. Yeah,
it's
just raw healing. You're not doing a lot of anything else.
Yeah.
And historically it's just not been super interesting and hasn't looked really good, but I was like, I'll look into it. I need something that's viable for Mythic Plus dungeons and stuff. So looking into it, and Holy Priest was rated surprisingly high, so I started looking into it.
Yeah,
and
because your main is a Shadow Priest, so making that switch would be fairly easy.
Pretty easy. I've already got really good gear. I've been kind of picking up off-spec trinkets and things along the way. So I kind of have gear for it. I don't have any legendaries, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's pretty easy to get nowadays that you can just farm them up and buy them. So I started building the spec and was kind of surprised to find out that it has some of the best spell animations I've ever seen.
Really?
Very very sparkly, very obviously it's a Holy Priest.
Empowered by the light.
Lots of powered by the light, lots of wings and
celestial kind of.
Yeah, lots of flashy, explosive looking light bursts. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually a really cool looking spec. And
because they're we can't make your class interesting to play, so at least we can make it entertaining to watch.
Well, and then there's the rub as well. They actually kind of have made it way more interesting in that they try and make it very synergistic, because you're very much just a throughput healer still.
Yeah,
there's not much there other than you kind of stacking your spells in certain ways. Spells will trigger more powerful versions of another spell.
Okay.
Or a big thing that's part of their spec is called serendipity. Every spell you do...
Does Kevin Spacey show up?
No.
Haley Joel Osment shows up and dies?
No.
Spoilers.
Hashtag me too.
You choose to leave your life as a gay holy priest? Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you have these sorry. Getting sidetracked. You have these big like cooldown level spells in your holy words, and they're on decently long cooldowns. But serendipity is a way that by doing things in each of these different kind of like schools, there's an AoE one, a single target one, and a damage dealing one.
Okay.
And these holy words are pretty powerful. And serendipity, as you're doing spells from those schools, essentially, it reduces the cooldown on those holy words, not insignificantly. It's like 6 seconds or 12 seconds, depending on what you're using. So you end up, like, your playstyle is you're just dumping these healing spells into people to reduce the cooldowns on these bigger nuke holy word spells. And it's actually a lot of fun because they come up so often, you feel like you're just throwing out nuke after nuke after nuke, healing or damage. And that debuffs and buffs other things along the way. So it actually has quite a bit of depth to it that I did not initially think it had at first. And doing that while still, managing mana and keeping people alive seems kind of interesting. And it's a different style of healing than I've ever tried before. So looking forward to it. I'll have more to report back once I can actually practice and dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah,
I was just stoked to see like really cool spell animations, and priests are rad.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you're finding something, and I'm glad that they're managing to make classes interesting that kind of never seemed that way. That's why I know with the expansion, when the Legion launched, I knew they changed Death Knight into a way I didn't want to play. So I spent a lot of time watching the beta videos as people are talking the breakdowns. This is how it plays, this is how it feels like, and kind of pick my class based on what spoke to me.
Sure.
So it's interesting to see how those how they always kind of try and change to try and be like, oh, nobody's playing Holy Priest. Okay, how do we make Holy Priest better? So,
and it's good. And they've done a lot of class redesign for this expansion.
Right.
And
it'll all be out the window in a month.
Speaking of Frost Death Knight, I jumped in because I've been leveling mine.
You said you were talking about it,
Yeah, it's become more interesting and now that I've kind of gotten into it. So I know you're not familiar with how it works right now, but a big part of it now is like you have basically, I don't know, I call it the remorseless winter window.
Okay.
So remorseless winter's on a pretty short cooldown, like 25 seconds.
They changed that.
It's very different.
That used to be a tier choice, a talent choice.
Yeah,
and it
might still be. I don't know.
But what it was is
you
hit it. I think it was a 2 minute. It might be more than a 2 minute cooldown because you basically were spinning winter around you, like you.
It's still the same, spell
and it freezes dudes.
And it still does that on things that can be frozen.
Right.
But the rub with it is, as Remorseless Winter's going, you spend your runes. So you're basically like Remorseless Winter, Obliterate, doing your thing, and as many runes as you spend in that remorseless window is like it buffs your damage by like X amount for the next like period of time, and it's kind of fun. It's interesting. You're kind of
that sounds cool.
It's like you said it's a short cooldown, so it's a pretty quick loop on the rotation. And so you're setting up. You're trying to like kind of like not cap on runes, but keep enough runes that you can dump a bunch in that window and buff your damage quite a bit.
And then spend your runic power
dumping your runic
after that window.
Yeah, because it's also buffed by that as well.
Yeah.
So they actually like Frost Death Knight, crazy damage right now, and it's kind of fun. It's an interesting way.
And they made it mandatory dual wield with the way the artifact went.
Yes,
which I loved. I love dual wield.
Yeah, there's no
because it was faster.
Yeah, there's no more two handing. But yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah,
Kind of interesting.
Cool.
Kind of interesting digging into some of these other classes that I don't play.
Oh yeah.
And seeing some different play styles.
Yeah. They'd probably have to make some big changes that would make it not WoW for me to be totally interested in getting back in.
No.
So I don't expect.
I'm not trying to like sell you on getting back into WoW by any means. I know it's still WoW. If you want to go back to it, go back to it.
It'll happen at some point, I'm sure.
If you're interested.
But okay, so and speaking of things that we can't stop going back to, at least me in this case, Diablo 3 season kicked off last night when we're recording this.
Is this the first time that you've been in and at 70 before I like even stepped in?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Because I've started before you and I've gotten to 70 before you, but you were still in progress. It's like,
right, yeah.
I
haven't even started it yet.
Right, there was a small patch that you probably haven't even downloaded for that.
It probably is downloaded. I played WoW enough that it probably auto-downloaded at some point.
True, because it's all on the same launcher.
Yep.
So Diablo 3, the season's going. It's still ridiculously fast to level to 70.
What season is this?
13.
Wow.
Yeah. And
maybe tonight.
The free pet.
Maybe tonight.
The free pet is a teddy bear, but with like bloody like talons and like all kind of blood spatters.
That's creepy.
It's not that creepy. It's kind of like edgy stuff. You're like,
I already have like edgelord.
Edgelord
teddy bear.
It would be on a T-shirt at Hot Topic.
Oh no.
The way the kind of bad Diablo stuff is, like you're like, oh, this is Hot Topic.
That's where all those vampire kids come from.
Exactly. Same kind of thing. But like when Diablo is good, you're just like, yeah, but it's also
Diablo's
good.
Real
like
good.
the idea that like the Necromancer is what I'm playing. He's not like edgy, like all black with eyeliner kind of. It's the way he is in Diablo is he's like a maintainer of the balance in that there's a lot of like, no, you're undead. You have to die because, the balance must be maintained.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's not super interesting in any.
I mean, Diablo 3 is more of a gameplay experience,
but it's a neat idea,
not a lore experience.
I'm sure someone would argue with that, but at least
I'm not saying that lore doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's not.
But who cares? Is what you're saying.
Who cares? Like,
but the spell effects all look amazing.
They do. Diablo 3 has always been a great looking game.
Yeah, and I'm kind of playing that. So that's 2 of the 3 games that I've been trying to manage my time, though I imagine I'll be able to kind of manage Diablo 3, maybe make it a co-op only thing, so when people are wanting to co-op, we'll do that.
There you go.
Maybe kind of do... Anyway, not much to say on that.
Fun juggling.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so we'll do that. Check in with that kind of low key, because Diablo is what it is at this point.
Yeah, they're not doing anything outside the box
until they announce 4 or announce hey, here's $20 to up the graphics in this game, which I would pay for to make everything look more beautiful.
I'd rather they just, I don't know. What do you do with the Diablo 4?
Well, they're working on it. They are working on it. That's a
cool.
thing.
Cool. I'm curious to see what that becomes.
Well, it took them more than 10 years to get Diablo 3 out the door, so don't expect it anytime soon.
Yeah, true. But I think Diablo 3 has been one of the best gaming investments I've made in a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, didn't you get it for free for...
yeah, absolutely.
Because you did
Because I bought Mist of Pandaria.
Yeah, and pledged to sub for a year.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, because I was going to be playing WoW anyway, and I got Diablo for free, but fell off Diablo almost immediately. Played through...
Launch was bad. Launch was bad.
Yeah, the real money auction house, real bad.
Ooh, yeah.
Real bad taste in the mouth. Didn't feel good at all.
There's a GDC talk by Josh Mascara, the guy who took over from the original game director who launched Diablo 3, where they talk about what happened, why it was designed that way, kind of somewhat apologetically, kind of like a, look, I can't just throw this other guy under the bus. He's a good dude, even if that may not be true. Not saying it is, but, anyway, I can't say anything one way or another, but he kind of went through, and he was telling personal stories, like he played a barbarian. The first legendary that dropped in him in original Diablo 3 was a quiver for a demon hunter, and he was pissed because
that still happens.
Yes, but they
that still happens.
But it's never your first thing that drops.
True.
And they talk about the whole system that prevents that from happening again. But back then, I saw maybe 3 legendaries when I played through for 200 hours or something in Diablo, and I saw 4 or 5 legendaries.
And you get that now in one rift.
Right.
Easy.
When I hit level 12 this season, I had 3 legendaries drop within the course of over 5 minutes.
They rain that stuff on you now.
It's great. Anyhow, so look that up. Talk if you're interested on...
I think you may have already showed it to me.
I think I told you about it anyway.
But if you guys out there are interested, it's actually an interesting talk, especially
about design and...
Yeah, that's the interesting part. It's about game design and what, kind of copying to the mistakes they've made and
pride. Because it was a different guy. He never said it explicitly, but there was pride in the design because they're like, Diablo 2, people were playing it for a decade. We're going to design this game to last a decade. And everybody's like, what is this garbage?
Yeah, true, yeah. And then it's kind of their philosophy going forward, which has been good, and the redesign of the loot system and everything.
Right.
It's pretty interesting, and it's too bad that more games are not espousing that philosophy.
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
The Division. Anything that thinks it's a loot game.
Yeah, it's true. It should be the gold standard for loot games. I agree.
Here's the thing is, and I love when Division was going through all of its problems. Their forums were aflame with and the community managers were under siege, just saying, at least tell us that you know Diablo 3 exists. Just say that, and we'll stop asking. And they refused to acknowledge Diablo 3 in any capacity.
I mean, they clearly have some kind of stick up their butt about all of it.
Yeah, but people are just saying, look, this is the loot system that's better. And we're not saying do this, but at least knowledge if you've seen it. And you
look at it. You know, like take some like.
I think
this has been done before in very much a better way than you guys seem to be capable of even.
Funny enough, that's where I saw that YouTube video. Is people were spamming that YouTube video as a link to the developers of Division, saying, "Watch it for the love of God,
like, please, we want better loot systems."
Right. So that said, we kind of want to move into. There's one more game I've been playing. But I also want to deviate and bring back our occasional segment of...
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah. Of Pardon Our Weeb.
This is our new favorite segment.
I love this segment. It's where we get a little off topic, let's say. So after... I've been clear on my love of Persona 5.
Absolutely.
I love
Persona. Is a great franchise.
It's a great series, everything I've seen of it. But I mean, I liked Persona 4, loved Persona 5.
Well, did you play Persona 4?
I did play Persona 4.
Was that before or after the endurance run?
That was after.
Okay.
The Giant Bomb endurance run was what kind of turned me onto it. And I actually got to the end and wanted to grind. And like I kind of locked up. I'm like, well, I'll just see how it ends. I just watched their ending. I may have found a $50 PS4 and bought a $50. I spent $100 to play Persona 4 and didn't beat it.
Very nice.
But I got my time out of that game.
Oh, I believe it. Like you have to.
Yeah.
Like it happens. Any Persona game.
Yeah.
I think you're in it for a solid chunk of time.
Yeah. And for the record, Rise best waifu.
It's true. I agree.
She's great. No.
I agree.
She comes over to asks about your stash.
What?
Yeah, like your gentleman, because
that's great.
You have, was it Yusuke over to your house?
Okay.
Is it Yusuke or Yosuke? Because there's Yosuke. Yusuke's in the new game. Is it 5? He's the artist guy in 5. Anyway,
got it.
Yosuke is just like, all right, bro. He's over at your house. He's like, where are you hiding the goods?
Nice.
And well, when Rise's over, she's like, so where are you hiding the goods? And you could actually be like, I don't have any. Like you could kind of like deflect it a little bit. And she's like,
I'm not sharing my stash with you.
Well, she's also somewhat of an idol, so she has stuff. She's like, this is at the point where you're dating. Essentially, at this point, she's like, I'll get you some stuff.
That's great.
She's just like, I will hook you up with my material to make sure you've got stuff.
Rise has a weed guy.
No, not weed. Gentleman materials, gentleman magazines.
Oh, that's the stash.
That's the stash.
Okay,
it's Japan.
That's right.
Japanese people. I mean, I don't know.
I just figured that was like water. You just turn on the tap and it just comes out. Just like tons of manga books.
Yeah. See, but they're asking where you're hiding that. That's all right. That's my fault for not being clear of a more adult nature.
My bad.
No, that's me. That's not pardon my weed.
Sorry, I'm not weeb enough for this.
Right. Yeah, we'll change the name of the segment for next time we're talking about pot
weed.
Anyhow, so that's why Rise's best waifu.
Okay, yeah, no, Rise is awesome.
She's just like, I got you, bro.
I agree now, yeah. Rise is best waifu. Now that I know. I was already on board with weed. I mean, that's cool.
I mean, I'm sure look, she's somewhat of a celebrity, so I'm sure she's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, she's down with the leaf.
That's a secret weapon, you know.
Right.
That's how it works.
Anyhow...
I mean, I can't tell you what it is, but it's gonna be the bomb.
Right. It's gonna be the bomb. The card game. There's a card system called Weiss Schwarz. Now, don't let the German name fool you. It's actually mad Japanese.
Oh yeah.
But it's a card system that allows you to take different franchises and pit them against each other in various combat. Usually, it's animes and things of that nature.
Is there anything that's not anime?
Yeah, they're gonna say there's a couple games.
Oh, right.
Disgaea. And things like that are games.
Yeah, basically you could take your weird sort of unaffiliated anime property and build a deck of your choosing.
So you can build your unaffiliated idol deck.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, I really like Sword Art Online. Here's my Sword Art Online deck.
Yeah.
And so it's Weeb Wars, the card game.
Weeb Wars, there you go. Nice.
So anyway, the Persona 5 cards just came out. And I bought them because I have dipped my toe into Weiss Schwarz. It's a fairly simple but still fairly fun system. And I love Persona 5. And looking through these cards, it reminded me how good the art is for
the
that
game.
game.
Does look fantastic,
Especially when you get it in still frames and you're like, oh, this reminds me.
And the soundtrack. Oh man,
Yeah,
out of this world.
yeah. It's so getting my foil Makoto in swimsuit. I'm like, I need to play Persona 5 again.
So weeb.
It's so weeb.
So weeb.
I do love that the protagonist swimsuit card is just a shot from him with the neck up.
That's great.
But it's protagonist in swimsuit.
That's great.
Is the card, and it's actually surprisingly powerful at what it does. It's this card. It's,
I thought you just meant him in a swimsuit.
I mean, also very powerful.
Very powerful.
If you had played that far, you would have.
It's true. Yeah. Okay. We'll maybe move that up the timetable.
Yeah, maybe.
I really do need to get through Persona
and then we could
5.
we could do that as Pardon Our Weeb Persona 5.
Ooh, there we go. A whole endurance.
A whole
run of,
subcategory is the Japanese stuff. Then we might
when it gets real anime, we'll warn you guys.
We might have to do that if we do when we get to Galgun.
Ooh, man.
Ooh, yeah. Anyhow, dibs on not playing or dibs on playing? I'm not sure which makes me look worse.
What do you call on that one?
We'll flip a coin or something.
That's about the safest way, I think.
Yeah. So that came out, and I have been enjoying those cards. Haven't had a chance to really play yet, but I've been.
Yeah, it just came out.
Well,
we just got it here.
It was supposed to come out last July.
We just got it here locally.
Well, it was supposed to be localized last July, and just hasn't been. Its official release was like about a week and a half ago or so, or the 16th is what it was. And it finally got here, and me and some Preds were just like, yeah, let's weeb out, bro.
Right on.
I've got to save all the foil ands. So
I wish I could find a good TCG again.
Yeah, there's nothing that quite does the WoW TCG.
Yeah, I used to play the WoW TCG pretty exclusively.
Yeah.
And I've dipped my toe into others, and nothing has really quite scratched the itch.
As much as you want to Vanguard.
Yeah.
Since we're in the weeb segment.
True. Yeah, I played a bit of Card Fight Vanguard for a while. Really
but
enjoyed that. Very simple. But again, TCGs, it's kind of hard.
Right.
It's kind of hard to justify those anymore.
It really is.
But
speaking of, I know we make Nintendo Labo jokes, but speaking of
way
cardboard edition,
too much money on cardboard, man.
At least the card quality is not. I understand that Magic the Gathering's card quality is decreasing rapidly, and their basic response is, "Well, you guys will pay for it anyway."
I mean, I think that's kind of across the board. I've heard the comics guys also are reducing the quality of the paper and printing and all that stuff. Yeah,
I saw someone.
It's in an attempt to make comics cheaper. Nobody wants to pay $3.99.
I think I saw something that said their sales are down 91%.
The comics?
Yeah,
not surprising.
Well, for a number of reasons, but I actually saw a picture from a con at the Wizards official booth, Wizards of the Coast. They own Magic the Gathering, and the card quality has gotten so bad that they have a stack of demo cards or whatever it is that were sitting off to the side that have already started warping during the convention.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh man.
So that's a
quality products.
Anyway, we're deviating farther off than we intended to. Hope you join us again for next episode of Pardon Our Weed, and maybe a little bit of Pardon Our Weed as well.
Sure. That's only if Resay can hook us up.
Yeah, as long as misinterpretations continue.
Yes.
So the last game that I've been sinking not as much time as I need to, but a ton of time into and just kind of enjoying it is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Now, you've mentioned this to me a couple times.
Right.
I know basically nothing about it.
So, and I tried to explain to him, Skyrim, and your response was, no, I haven't really played Skyrim.
I haven't played Skyrim. I don't really know. First-person RPGs just didn't really... I don't know. I just missed it, I think.
Yeah.
I think I just missed
it's okay. Skyrim just came out on the Switch, so you can...
I don't want to play Skyrim on a Switch, man. Nobody wants to play Skyrim.
They're porting it onto everything, and that's kind of its own...
You know what I'm really looking forward to? Doom on the Switch. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, right?
No, I don't want to play a terrible looking version of anything.
Right. The PC version of Skyrim has tons of mods, has all the stuff, and...
Yeah, and that sounds more interesting. Far more support and weird fanfic sort of mods that go on with that game.
There's one that makes
kind of fascinating.
Makes all the female followers that you can get in that game into super hot Scandinavian women.
Oh, awesome. I'm all about that Clean Faces mod.
Yeah, the Clean Faces mod. And then there's also one of the first things that gets modded in is actual nudity.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, like Fallout 4 is also rampant with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very small but very devoted base that's like, no, I need nudity in my role playing games.
I mean, what has always been the dream.
It's like,
of gamer nerds, like.
But here's the thing: is
nude codes back in the day for whatever, all these fake things.
But
like
here's the thing: is like
the original troll.
We live on the internet. You can get your fix immediately with no difficulty.
Hey man,
stop that!
Don't yuck on somebody's yum. Maybe that's their kink.
I mean, yeah, I guess
they're into that digital.
Well, I mean, that I'm not saying that
that digital.
That digital is available also much faster. Like, let me put in hundreds of hours so I can have these digital breasts, but also to kind of hide it, I have to spend hundreds of hours on this digital wang.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not playing Rust, so.
Well, I mean, maybe Skyrim's got you covered, bro.
Skyrim has awesome.
No, it's a nudity mod.
I'm probably never gonna play Skyrim. Like, if I'm honest, like I don't.
That's fine.
I just don't care.
Actually, I have played Skyrim, so it falls to you to one day.
And one day,
play
okay,
Skyrim.
Fine.
Just prepare yourself for that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
can I mod it?
Yeah. We'll have that conversation as we go.
Sounds good.
We have to keep it family friendly.
Fair enough.
So
I just want to make it as ridiculous as possible.
Oh, so you want the Randy Savage dragons?
Oh my, yes.
There's a mod that instead of dragons roaring, you just hear, "Oh yeah!"
Done.
And I think they have the hat and glasses too.
Done. Yep.
Right.
Done.
So then I guess I fell to The Witcher.
Ooh,
that's what I said. Was like, so The Witcher.
Yeah, Witcher's cool.
I'm like, imagine it in first person. And set in an actual historical time and place. So basically Skyrim, but in an actual time and place.
Sure.
Well, what it is, it's set in 1403 Bohemia.
Where's Bohemia?
Let's say in the kind of not Eastern Europe, but not Germany.
Okay, right on.
Let's say Central Europe. Let's just say that.
Old-timey Europe.
Not Eastern Europe, but not far enough that you're not dealing with like Poles and things. In fact, I think it's the King of Poland that burns down your village at the beginning of the game.
I don't know. I haven't played this game. Why are you asking me?
I'm sorry. If people can't see me looking off to the side trying to remember, because it's also at the time when all of the nobles of Europe are all interrelated.
Oh, okay.
So there's turmoil in that, like. The brother of the king, who's a king of someplace else, was like, "Hey, you're not doing your job the way I think you should do your job, so I'm actually going to set you up and like throw you in prison." And
so, like, is it based on actual historical stuff,
or
is it just like very true to that?
No, it's based on
time.
I believe the named characters are based on it, and the way they're playing some of these things. I'm not sure if your character is someone it feels like someone who's going to rise to the ranks and become prominent, but I don't know. I haven't looked into it because I don't want to spoil where the game goes.
Oh yeah, if it is just like a straight up historical.
But
RPG.
I'll tell you this: there are straight up codexes, entries for individuals.
I believe the word is codices.
No, it said there's codex entries.
I don't care.
I'm just speaking of yucking on yum. No. But there's codex entries that are around each of these characters and telling you who they are, how they relate to other peoples. I mean, you run into a guy who seems like much like an adult, but he's still technically a ward of this other noble, and so that the guy yells at him is trying to train him to be a better noble, and you maybe get in a fist fight with that guy because he's not a very good nobleman, and it's a game that's like, no, you're not a nobleman, you are garbage, and know your place, peasant kind of. It gets in that. And there's a whole part of the systems. There's a whole persuasion system that's based on how clean and noble you look versus the other person. So you can pass yourself off as more noble and therefore of higher rank than the person you're talking to.
So you just gotta take a shower.
Well, there's actually
steal some nice clothes and go take a shower.
You say that, but that's basically what it is. There's troughs around that you can kind of wash yourself off.
Oh, no way!
And the game says
gross. You
have washed yourself off as much as you can in a trough. Then you have to go to bathhouses to get properly clean, and the state of your clothing affects how people perceive you.
I don't know that I've ever thought about going to a bathhouse to get properly clean.
Well, you should try it. Like you got to start somewhere, and sometime, please.
I'm not that bath curious.
We have the air fresheners we go through in this room. So yeah, it's set in this place, and hey, like most of these stories, there's a tragedy that befalls your village at the beginning. It's what happens.
That's every hero's journey.
It's
right?
like not even a spoiler. It just you're like, oh, is this what it is? But
it's pretty tropey. I mean, as far as like
in the opening, only in the opening, but it does everything so differently.
How far in are you?
That's a good question because it's an open world. So I've been basically mainlining the story.
Okay, open world.
And I've heard people say
What's
like
the general hour count?
I don't know that anybody knows that yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it's brand new.
It's new. It just came out. But I was talking to a guy I work with who was talking about being 20 hours in and maybe being like 6 or 8 quests ahead of me, and I'm not even 10 in yet.
Wow.
But he was also wandering around and stuff.
So is it longer quest lines like The Witcher?
Yes. The side quest stuff, all of them seem to connect. There are some one-off quests, but all the other, like anything of any significance seems to chain. Some things happen and you end up at a miller's place. And I think that's your Thieves Guild network, is all the millers are actually like hardcore thieves.
Awesome.
And everybody has kind of like
the
northern English kind of accent for being poor. All the poor people have a good kind of like that I'm ignorant British accent that's pretty good.
Redneck Brits.
Yeah, I guess that's what you call it. I don't know, but it's a
what is that in modern day? Cockney?
No, like northern England.
Northern England.
Yeah,
I'm not super savvy on.
I can show you some stuff and you go, oh yes, I'm sure. I would be surprised.
Which Beatle do they sound like?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know, and we're moving on. But yeah, so the setting seems very, very I don't know, true to life. Like there's like when you your weapons have durability where they wear down, you actually have to take them down to a whetstone, and there's a whole like.
I know about whetstones.
It's not just hit the whetstone. Time passes, you're done. You actually have to by hand.
Like it's a quick time event to whetstone.
Not a quick time event. You got to actually angle the blade and do all that stuff. That
sounds super tedious.
But it also is super engaging.
Yeah, I guess if it's like that's just part of like how this
I gotta say
works,
the lockpicking is devastatingly difficult in a way that you're just like, I'm never gonna lockpick. I'm sorry. I just
I don't know that I want to get good at this.
It's security through obscurity. You're like, I refuse to learn how to lockpick.
Interesting.
It's this. It's just not like Skyrim where you're just like, we'll just find the spot and turn the wheel. It's like, no, this is all turning, and you have to find the spot and keep this little circle within the spot. It has to be while it rotates around.
That's real weird.
And it rewards skill. I will say I've done.
Are you playing this on a control?
No, I'm not.
Okay, mouse and keyboard.
I heard the controller was somewhat easier for lockpick, and so I tried that and found that to be not at all the case. So I went back to full-time mouse and keyboard, and I just wanted to use the controller just for that lockpicking thing. Archery, for example, is also a thing that is interestingly difficult.
Okay,
because you have your stamina bar, and when you draw back the bow, it immediately starts ticking, but you can't hold your bow straight, and you have a reticle on the screen at all times that disappears when you bow hunt. So it's really hard.
Oh, that's cool.
It is, except for I'm like, I can't deal with this. There's a console command. I turned it back on. And I thought I was going to hate archery. I'm like, this is difficult. I don't know how this is rewarding. Huh. This makes me angry. And then there's a quest where you're out hunting. And oh my goodness, I fell in love with the bow hunting. Basically, without the reticle, it's harder to detect, but there's a rhythm to the sway.
Okay.
And so what you're doing is, I'm like sneaking up on these creatures, pulling out my bow, and just kind of holding it and going, okay, right there, and letting go. And it's real rewarding when you tag something. Oh man, I ended
up really liking the bow in Last of Us for the same reason.
Okay,
it felt really good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This is a different animal. I've never played a game that had a bow like this.
It's interesting that they take the reticle away. That's kind of fascinating.
Right. But
as
also,
long as like they give you enough of the bow itself to like actually aim as like you would with a bow.
If you were to play this, I wonder if I told you what I noticed about how the bow moves, if you would be able to detect that and deal with it. Whereas the reticle, you know exactly where the arrow is going to hit when you. Well,
right.
Actually, the bullet drop is real. Let's say the arrow.
I would expect as much,
but on a bow, it is noticeable. So, but I actually fell in love with that on this hunting mission. I'm just like, this is really cool. The combat, the actual melee combat, you can use a shield or not. But it's also it's like your stamina. If you get hit, you lose stamina. When you're out of stamina, you lose health. At least in fist fighting. But in weapons, it's not. I think it's exact. I think it works basically the same way. But I don't know if you looked at any of the footage for the For Honor game.
Which one's For Honor?
It was let's come up with a dumb fantasy reason why Vikings, medieval knights, and samurai would all fight each other.
Right. Okay, got it.
And it had that 3-point combat system where you choose your stance.
Oh yeah. Did you ever play that?
No, I kind of wanted to, but I think this is going to be better because it actually, when you're in combat, you have a 5-pointed star and a dot in the center, and as you're moving the mouse, that's where it's moving your hand to strike at that angle.
Okay, so it's
towards the center.
A bit more like
flushed out,
fine tuning.
A little bit more fine tuning. There's actually a parry system and a dodge system.
Okay.
That it's real fast, but if you get it, you can dodge or block out of combat, and you kind of have to do a flurry of blows to kind of break guards. And you have to hope you have more stamina. There's like clinching when people get close. If you're stronger, you'll knock them away. But if you're not, they'll just push you away.
Okay.
There's a whole intricate system.
Seems interestingly in depth for each of these systems.
Yes, but at the same time, and I should say this is the first game the studio has made. Like the lead developer and some other people on it have done other things. But I don't know if it's anything of note. But there's a polished amateur quality, like a really good indie film
I've seen
or
a
something.
Little bit of like a trailer and stuff.
You see stuff and you're like, okay. Also, the
like
scenery,
very polished, but
scenery is
there's
gorgeous.
an amateurish quality to it. Not that it's bad. It's just like it's clearly like polished in a different way than most games are these days. Like
I maybe they didn't have the processing power to get the faces just right, but I can't tell if they did performance capture or not. It looks that good, even if it's not perfect.
It does look good. Yeah,
and it's interesting. It's compelling. I don't skip through dialogue through cutscenes often. I just find myself just watching it, going, "This game is fascinating." I'm intrigued by a great deal of what the game has to offer. It does have a lot of, here's your quest. Okay, here's a mini fail state. Now you have to do it differently. And I should say this,
like a good RPG.
Like yes, but the saving system is actually where that makes a difference, because it saves usually at the beginning of the quest, and on longer quest chains, like at steps at the beginning of a new step, it'll save. Whenever you sleep in a bed that's yours, or a proper nice enough bed, the game saves then. And the only other time you can save is there is a mechanic in game. You have to drink an alcoholic drink called Savior Schnapps.
Okay.
But also you can't drink too much because you can get drunk. In fact, there is a Steam trophy for getting addicted to alcohol.
Okay. Right on.
For becoming an alcoholic. And I'm like, well, when I'm done with the game, I have to see what that entails.
I mean, probably not as much as you think.
Just drink a lot, right?
Yeah. Just
well, here's the thing. There's also a nourishment system and an energy system. So you have to sleep.
Interesting.
Otherwise, you get tired.
Have to eat,
and you have to eat. Yeah. And that has various adverse
some
effects.
of those like adventure gamey survival qualities,
like survival game-esque stuff, but it's never like here's the thing: it's like super Peasantville. So you'll be walking around and you're like, oh, there's just a pot of food on boil. We'll take some of that, get some free nourishment back, and but if you overeat, you actually become kind of sluggish.
Do you actually get fat? That would be amazing.
I do not think you get fat. I should say, this game does not have a character creator. It doesn't have anything. It's like, you play as Henry. You are Henry. And everybody calls him Hal, who knows him. I think I've never heard that as a nickname.
Is that a nickname for Henry? Interesting.
I guess it is in 1403 Bohemia.
Can't let you do that, Hal.
No, Hal is the computer that's preventing him. It's Dave.
That's right. I can't let you do that, Dave.
What are you doing, Dave?
It's been a long time since I've watched 2001.
And start singing about Daisy. Anyhow, it's got a mash of elements that are really cool. The gameplay is, I've gotten into maybe 4 fights on like a Skyrim where you're just like, I'm just fighting everything, and you are heavily penalized. It seems like there are extreme penalties for like stealing and for stepping out of line because it's a medieval society.
Like there would be, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, no, they will not have any of that, and so I'm just like, I usually play a pretty straight arrow guy, and then at some point I kind of fall off the path, steal a bunch of stuff, kind of go bad, and then come back in a Skyrim. That's usually how I do. I don't see myself doing in this game.
You're just gonna straight arrow?
Maybe. Well, apparently also I'm looking to get plate armor because I guess people also, when you're in combat, they react to how you look. So if a guy in full plate armor rolls into their bandit camp, they're just like,
it's gonna be a little intimidating.
I don't want to deal with this guy, and they'll start to run.
That's cool.
They'll just like, no, none of this guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it actually uses the old Morrowind system of, as you do X gets stronger.
Oh, okay.
So when I was out bow hunting, a bunch of my bow hunting related stats got better. As you're fighting and blocking and dodging, These, like, your defense goes up. You get points, and there's an overall level, and there's levels in each thing that you're doing. So there's like sub-leveling and leveling, and I don't know. I am less than 10 hours in. I have not even scratched the surface.
Interesting, yeah.
But I am also kind of in love with this game.
Is this the second coming of Skyrim?
Well, this is a better.
Is this? I'm just kind of saying, is this a deep first-person RPG that is going to like grab a bunch of people
for depth? I don't think Skyrim can touch this game.
Right on.
Skyrim is probably going to be a more popular game overall, especially with.
It's already established. Right. Like, it's kind of like
right.
But this is the new kid in school. Here.
This is always going to be This is going to be the game that people's like. Well, actually, have you played this game?
It's like, if you like Skyrim, maybe you should try.
This is going to be the one that like a lot of people will. I know. I think it'll be the oh yeah argument of people will talk about Skyrim and like, oh, you're a filthy casual, you should play this game.
Filthy casual,
right? Because everybody played Skyrim, but this is also going to be like, no, if you want a real good of X, and unless it becomes more popular, at which point people are like, oh, it's so overrated. I don't know where it's going to fall on that spectrum.
Interesting,
but I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's deeper. I think the systems have way more polish than Skyrim. And I think there's a lot to be said for it. It seems. I want to get farther into it. You have to see some of the things like where some of the combat goes. Right now, when you fight, like they have some scripted moments where you fight people at a higher level, and it seems like you could beat them, but they're also automatically parrying all your blows, and so you're kind of having to. Like, you're clearly outclassed, and I don't know what that... And those are scripted moments where you're outclassed, so I want to see where it gets farther in.
When you actually have, like,
a
fair shot.
I was at a quest, and I did kind of roll up on a bandit by himself, and he just turned on me and kind of kicked my trash, but I also wasn't expecting to run into him. So, I got to look at my gear and do some stuff, and fortunately, it auto-saved. It was right before the next quest step before I stumbled on that guy, so we'll see where that goes. Though... As soon as I get done with it, or through the main story, I will definitely be looking up the historical accuracy of what's going on here because I'm curious. I want to see where it compares. I need to see like some of these guys.
If it is actually like a historical,
yeah, I was gonna say.
Game.
I was gonna call this. There's I need to look up Sir Raditz. That's not his name because that's a different thing. But it's actually. It's actually really close to
Goku's
Raditz.
brother.
It's really close to Raditz. So I just want to throw that out there. And it's challenging. In a way that I wonder if it's going to get easier with time or harder with time. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know what to think of it yet, but I know I like it so far. I'm intrigued, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems cool. Maybe at some point I'll have to check it out. But,
if I get sucked in, I'm sure you'll check it.
I got plenty of other stuff to do right now.
Yeah, right.
No, it does look good, and I'm curious to see where it goes. It seems promising.
Yeah,
and the early buzz is like pretty cool.
It sold over 1 million units in its first week.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible these days.
Right, and I don't know if it came out on consoles. I think it did, but it's a PC.
Yeah, you got it on Steam.
I got it on Steam. It is a PC game. Just the way like the keyboard controls are. Though the keyboard controls seem to make sense.
That's cool.
The way it's like kind of like, no, we expect you to have your hands on WASD.
Yeah, I still honestly, as long as I've been playing PC games, I still feel fairly new to PC gaming. Mostly just because my library is fairly limited to Blizzard.
And it all kind of says, if you play a Blizzard game, here's the control side.
Here it is. Yeah, you kind of know what you're getting into. And I play stuff mostly the same way. So
absolutely.
We'll see.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything else.
No, I don't think so. No, you're done.
I'm done.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please catch us again. Well, throughout the week, we'll have some stuff going up on the site. More videos, more Castle Crashers happening. Loving that game. And chat about Last of Us at some point.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you again sometime soon on the Backcast.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.